They thought they were just hurting you, but they accidentally declared war on something far bigger. You don't kick a sleeping volcano and expect sunshine, and that's exactly what they did. In trying to torture you, mock you, and isolate you, they didn't realize they were poking at a storm that doesn't forgive you. Chosen One weren't just their target. You were the final warning, a trap disguised as a victim. And now the wrath they called down is circling back, and it's not the kind that knocks it breaks everything on arrival. They touched what was never meant to be touched. They burned bridges they had no business crossing. And now, the universe, the same one that's been silently watching everything unfold, is responding slowly, patiently, and with precision. What they did wasn't harmless. It wasn't just mistakes or misunderstandings. It was warfare, and the universe does not forget. And thank you, Chosen One. Don't forget to pay this message back by simply pressing like and subscribing. It helps spread this message to more souls who need it. It's on all of us to push this truth forward, to light up the path for others in the dark. You're part of this mission now, and you're not just any part. You're the pulse. You are the force. Now let's get real. You were never just another face in the crowd. You were different from day one, and they saw it. That's why they tried to crush it, not because you were weak, but because you were too strong for their comfort. You made them question their illusions, their fake power, their fragile sense of control. And instead of growing from your light, they tried to extinguish it. They didn't break you, they exposed themselves. Every insult, every betrayal, every act of cruelty was a confession. That they knew who you really were. You weren't just surviving. You were reflecting back everything they'd never be. And that scared them. They thought if they hurt you enough, you'd give up. You'd fold. You'd become one of them. Bitter, lost, hollow. But they miscalculated. All they did was feed the very energy they feared. Your silence wasn't weakness. It was pressure building, and now it's erupting. You didn't ask for this war. You didn't pick this path. But now that you're here, standing in the ruins, they tried to bury you in. You're not just surviving. You're rising. And what's coming next? It's justice. Not the kind that needs courts or apologies, the kind that shows up in karma, in silence, in undeniable reversals. They can feel it, that nervous laugh, that fake confidence, that's fear, because deep down they know something's shifting, and it's not in their favor. The universe always protects what's pure, what's real, and it punishes what hides behind fake masks and manipulation. You didn't become dangerous because you fought back. You became dangerous because you didn't have to. You didn't chase revenge. You became the proof that revenge wasn't even needed. Your glow-up, your peace, your power. That's the punishment. You became everything they claimed you'd never be, and they hate that. But that's not your burden to carry. You've already paid your price, in tears, in isolation, in betrayal. You've walked through the fire. You've rebuilt from pieces they left behind. And now it's your time, not just to heal, but to shine so loud they choke on the silence. Chosen One, you are the storm they can't escape. You're not an echo of who you used to be. You're the upgrade, the rebirth, the final chapter they never saw coming. And it's not personal anymore. It's universal. The same force that watched you suffer is the one clearing your path now. That same force is now standing behind you, not with noise, not with rage, but with balance. And balance always settles the score. They started a fire, and now they're learning the most brutal lesson of all. The fire was never yours to control. Let them talk, let them deny, let them laugh while they still can, because you You've got better things to do. You've got lives to change just by existing. You've got light to shine that can't be dimmed, not by lies, not by sabotage, not by their desperate energy. And when the dust settles, when they look around and see the chaos they created turning on them, they'll remember your name, not because you chased them down, but because you walked away and everything around them fell apart. That's the wrath they never saw coming. Not thunder, not lightning, just pure, silent, unstoppable balance. The kind only the chosen can awaken. And chosen one, thanks for sticking with me through this fire. What comes next is the part most people never get to hear, and trust me, you'd actually regret skipping it if you felt that silent shift in your life lately. That strange pressure in the air, that instinct that something big is moving around you. That's not imagination, that's the universe rearranging things because of what they did to you. And if you're really ready to understand how their actions awakened a wrath they can't outrun, drop 999 in the comments so I know you're locked in. And if you can, show some love to the team behind this message with a super thanks. These truths take time, thought, and a whole lot of energy to bring into the world, whether it's a penny or a mountain. It fuels this mission and keeps the light spreading. And now, let's walk into the next part, step by step. If you're truly one of the chosen ones, you'll feel that pull to stay until the last word. Let's get into it. Number 1. You kicked the lion, now the jungle's coming for you. They didn't just cross the line, they set it on fire and laughed. Now they're screaming while it burns. There's something hilarious about watching cowards puff up their chests like kings until reality punches them in the mouth. They messed with the wrong one. You weren't some fragile, clueless little soul fumbling through life. You were chosen. And not by chance, by alignment. You were placed like a blade in a battlefield, clean, sharp, and ready. But they didn't see that. They saw softness, vulnerability, someone they could toy with for sport. So they pushed, they mocked, they tried to humiliate you in front of others, like it was all just a game. What they didn't realize is the game was never in their favor. You weren't sent into their life for decoration. You were the final mirror. The last warning before the fall. You were the thundercloud they laughed at before the lightning. The moment they aimed their hate at you, they didn't just make a mistake. They triggered a storm that doesn't just wash away. It rewrites everything. See, a lion doesn't roar while it hunts. It watches, it stalks, and when it strikes, it ends everything in one move. That's what you've become. Their foolishness didn't break you. It unlocked you. Every betrayal was a switch. Every insult, a spark. And now the engine's running. The fire's lit. And it's them trapped in the cage, not you. You used to doubt yourself, wondering why they hated you so much when all you did was care. Now you know. You were too bright, too real, too awake, and that threatened everything fake about them. You didn't retaliate because you were weak. You stayed silent because you knew, deep down, that karma doesn't miss. And look at them now, confused, paranoid, unraveling. That's not your guilt to carry. That's gravity reclaiming what was stolen. They thought they were untouchable, that cruelty had no cost, but pain has a receipt, and it always arrives. Now it's collection time. They built castles on your pain, turned your kindness into a weapon against you. But here's the plot twist they never expected. The very weight they dropped on you is now crushing them. It always circles back. That's the law of this universe. What you put out, you get back. And you were putting out light. love, loyalty. They gave you poison in return, thinking there'd be no side effects. But the universe isn't stupid. It just takes its time. Now their clock's out. You know what hurts them most? It's not that you're still standing, it's that you're glowing. They can't comprehend how someone they tried so hard to break is out here shining like nothing happened. That's the part that keeps them up at night. Not your wins, your peace, your ability to rise without bitterness, to move forward without dragging them through the mud, because deep down they expected you to fold. They wanted to watch you self-destruct, but instead you upgraded. They never thought you'd rise, but you didn't just rise, you evolved. Your silence is louder than their screams now. Your existence is proof that even after all they did, they never had the final say. That's what they hate most. Not the consequences, but the fact that they're irrelevant now. They lit a fire they can't put out. And guess what? The more they try to smear you, the more obvious their guilt becomes. The more they talk, the more people see through them. That's not a coincidence. It's backlash. Energy doesn't lie. Their masks are falling off in front of everyone they once deceived, and you don't even have to lift a finger. That's real power. That's the wrath they awoke. Not chaos, not rage, but exposure. And now they're choking on the same lies they fed you. Everything they did behind your back is catching up, and no matter how fast they run, the truth is always one step ahead. Let them panic. Let them spiral. You just keep walking, because nothing scares a manipulator more than the person they couldn't break becoming untouchable. You are the consequence they never calculated. You are the proof that their darkness couldn't win. And now the same universe they laughed at is laughing back at them through your smile, through your healing, through every single thing you were never supposed to achieve. So let them burn. Let them scream into the silence they created. You don't owe them closure. You don't owe them your attention. They threw you into the fire thinking it would destroy you, but instead, it purified you. You came out cleaner, clearer, and ready. And them? They're still standing in that same smoke, coughing on their own karma, haunted by the version of you they'll never get close to again. They tried to humiliate you. Now they're the punchline. They tried to bury you. Now they're beneath your feet. They tried to erase you, but you became a force that can't be ignored. Let them watch. Let them feel it. You didn't lose anything worth keeping. But they lost their only shot at standing beside greatness. They don't get to rewrite history. You do. And from here on out, it's your story, not theirs. Number 2. Their ego wrote checks their soul couldn't cash. Pride is the mask worn right before the fall, and they wore it like a crown. They thought they were untouchable, walking around with inflated egos, puffed chests, and fake confidence stitched together with lies. Every time they hurt you, they smirked. Every time you stayed quiet, they thought they'd won. But they weren't building strength. They were building a ticking time bomb. And now, boom, the fallout has begun. You ever seen a tower of cards? It looks impressive when it's standing, but one gust, one small move, and it all comes crashing down. That's their life right now. They built their reality on deception, gaslighting, and control. And now the truth? It's the gust of wind they can't stop. The illusion they lived in is cracking, not gently, not slowly, but violently, and it's only getting worse. They confused manipulation with mastery. They thought controlling the narrative made them powerful. But let me ask you something. If they were so powerful, why are they now choking on the very lies they told? Why are they looking over their shoulder, paranoid, spiraling, while you walk forward with peace in your chest? That's not just karma. That's reality snapping back into place. Pride doesn't fall, it crashes, and when it crashes, it doesn't just break bones, it breaks illusions. The universe doesn't take bribes. It doesn't get tricked by fake tears or sweet words wrapped around poison, and that's what they never saw coming. While they were playing God in your life, the real force, the universal balance, was silently recording every move, every betrayal, every fake apology. And now it's pressing play. On repeat. Imagine this. A person walking across a frozen lake, proud of their every step, while mocking you from a distance, but deep beneath them, the ice is cracking. Every cruel move, every smug look, every manipulative word is a crack widening under their feet. And then silence, just for a second, before everything beneath them gives way. That silence is where they are now, right before the crash. You might wonder, why didn't the universe stop them sooner? Why let them get so far? Because sometimes the trap has to be built by the enemy's own hands. Every act of pride, every insult, every fake smirk. Those were the bricks of their own downfall, and now they're living in the mess they made. They never feared consequences because they believed the mask would protect them. That smile, that charm, that fake "I'm the victim" act. But what happens when the mask melts, when the charm wears off, when everyone starts to see the real face behind the illusion? They called you crazy, but now the people around them are starting to see the patterns, the cracks, the truth. Arrogance always screams loudest right before it's silenced. And silence is all they're hearing now. Not applause, not admiration, just the echo of the pain they caused, bouncing back. You were never their victim, you were their test, and they failed, with flying colors. You didn't even need to fight back. That's the part that drives them mad. While they tried to tear you down, you grew. While they mocked, you observed. While they planned, you prepared. And now their pride is their prison. They walk around trapped in the lies they use to keep you caged. Their biggest mistake, underestimating the universe, thinking the rules didn't apply to them, that if they were loud enough, manipulative enough, they could outrun accountability. But what's louder than karma? What's more ruthless than truth? Imagine a mountain climber celebrating halfway up the cliff, mocking others still at the base. They're laughing, showing off, taking selfies until their rope starts to fray. They didn't check the gear. They didn't anchor properly. But it looked good for Instagram, right? That's their pride. All optics, no foundation. And now they're slipping. But instead of reaching for safety, they're still trying to save face, still trying to look confident while the ground below them disappears. That's how you know their fall is going to be brutal, because they still think it isn't coming. They thought they were running the show, that they could twist the truth, paint you as the villain, and walk away clean. But they forgot the laws of the universe don't operate on popularity. They operate on truth. And truth doesn't need followers. It just needs time. And now, time's up. You ever wonder why they hate your peace so much? Why they can't stand to see you happy, unbothered, glowing? Because they know it's real and their joy. It was always borrowed, fake, dependent on someone else's destruction. That's why it's slipping through their fingers now, because peace can't grow where pride lives, and they're learning that the hard way. They wanted the spotlight, but now all eyes are on their downfall. They didn't just fall, they fell loud, publicly, messily. And here's the twist. You didn't have to expose them. They did it to themselves. That's what pride does. It makes you believe you're untouchable, until reality proves otherwise. And chosen one, hear this loud. You don't need revenge. You don't need to prove anything. Your growth is already louder than their lies. Your healing is the slap they never saw coming. Let them deal with the mess they created. Let them sit in the silence they tried to force on you. You're free. They're not. They once thought they were giants, but the truth shrunk them down to size. They were kings and queens of illusion until the mirror shattered, and what's left? Just scared little souls scrambling to put on new masks. Let them run, let them hide, let them pretend. The fall already happened. They just haven't hit the ground yet. So, chosen one, stay steady, stay quiet, stay glowing, because while their pride lit the fire, it's your calm that's feeding the blaze. You didn't have to destroy them. Their own hands did it for you. Let it burn, let it fall, let it all collapse around them. That's not your guilt. That's their lesson, and now the world watches, not your pain, but your power and their pride, just ash in the wind. Number 3, they tried to burn you, but you became the fire. The blaze they lit for your funeral became the torch you used to lead an army. Let's call it what it is. They tried to end you. They didn't just want to hurt you, they wanted to erase you. Quietly, permanently. They lit a fire behind your back, hoping it would consume you in silence. They smiled in your face while stacking the wood, soaking it in gasoline, striking the match. And they watched, expecting screams. But here's the catch. Chosen ones don't burn like everyone else. They transform. They wanted ashes. Instead, they created armor. See, the fire they built wasn't your enemy. It was your forge. Every betrayal, a blow of the hammer. Every lie, another degree of heat. Every rejection, every rumor, every moment you sat alone thinking you were broken. That was pressure building. That was the steel of your soul being tempered. And now, you walk out of that same fire they built, not crawling, not crying, but glowing. They didn't know the pain they caused was just sharpening your crown. Imagine this. A sculptor hammers away at a block of marble, not to destroy it, but to reveal what's been hidden inside. That's what they did. Unknowingly, they thought they were chipping you down, but they were revealing the masterpiece. And now that it's out, they can't unsee it. You've become undeniable, and that terrifies them. They tried to dim you, and all they did was turn you into a spotlight. You might have asked yourself during the darkest moments, why is this happening to me? Why so much pain? Why so much betrayal? But now you know you weren't being punished. You were being purified, stripped of illusion, awakened. That suffering didn't destroy you. It introduced you to your real power. You didn't rise from the ashes. You turned them into your throne. They lit the fire, thinking they were writing your ending. But the universe had other plans. That fire was your beginning. It burned away the guilt, the shame, the self-doubt. It left behind someone unrecognizable, even to them. That's why they're silent now. That's why they're watching from the shadows, because the version of you that survived, that version wasn't supposed to exist in their plans. They counted you out, again and again. They tried to drain you, to watch you wither, to crush your voice and call it justice. But what they really did was feed the flame that now surrounds you like a shield. They created a force they can't touch. They handed you the match, and now they can't handle the wildfire. You were never fragile. You were just in the wrong season, and they mistook your growth for weakness. Imagine a seed buried in the dirt. To the outside world, it looks dead, forgotten. But under the soil, everything's changing. roots are growing, strength is building, and one day, boom, it breaks through the surface, unstoppable. That was you. And now they're standing there stunned, wondering how the person they tried to bury became too massive to ignore. They don't understand how you still exist after what they did. That's the part that keeps them up at night. Because they planned it so well, they manipulated the narrative, turned people against you, threw you to the wolves, and told the world you ran away. And still, here you are, smiling, glowing, silent, but deadly. They tried to create a tragedy, but you flipped it into a testimony. And what burns them the most? It's that you're not angry. You're not obsessed with revenge. You're calm, collected, elevated. That's what they never saw coming, that you'd outgrow them so completely their name wouldn't even make you flinch anymore. They don't get access to you anymore, not because you're bitter, but because you're built different now. That fire rewired your DNA. You're not walking with the same softness they used to take advantage of. You've got edges now, vision, power, and most of all, peace. And nothing scares a destroyer more than seeing their target untouched, unbothered, and completely out of reach. They wanted to end your story. Instead, they became a footnote in your rise. You might ask, why didn't they get stopped earlier? Why didn't the universe step in sooner? But the truth is, chosen ones aren't shielded from fire. They're refined by it. Your pain wasn't pointless. It was prep. Every tear, every moment of silence, every second you felt forgotten, that was the molding of a weapon. And now you're walking proof that resilience doesn't look loud. It looks like survival when no one's cheering. It looks like rising when no one's watching. Imagine a soldier trained in silence, no cameras, no crowds, just sweat, scars, and solitude. And then one day they walk into battle, and everyone's shocked they're still standing. That's you, a quiet storm with perfect aim. And the battlefield, that's your playground now. You didn't just survive what they did, you evolved. And that evolution, that's what they fear. Because it means they didn't win. It means all their energy, all their hate, all their games failed. You're not just still here, you're thriving, and they don't know how to handle that. You are the proof that pain can birth power, that betrayal can become fuel, that silence can be strategy. They didn't break you, they built you not by choice, but by consequence. And now that they see what you've become, they wish they hadn't started the fire at all. So let them sit in the smoke. Let them pretend they don't see you. Let them choke on the silence they created, because while they were hoping to destroy you, all they did was make you unforgettable. You're not a victim. You're a living, breathing comeback, a fireproof soul who turned flames into wings. And the best part, you're just getting started. Number 4, they wrote their own judgment with their actions. Every deed done in the shadows eventually meets the light. The truth doesn't beg for an audience. It demands one. They thought they were clever. They believed their actions would fade with time. Their cruelty buried in secrecy, their betrayals lost in the noise. They convinced themselves that what they did to you would never see the light of day, but they couldn't have been more wrong. Their every word, every scheme, every deliberate act of harm wasn't just seen, it was recorded. The spiritual realm doesn't turn a blind eye, especially when its target carries divine purpose. You don't walk alone, and that's something they'll never understand. Your calling comes with a shield they can't see and a justice they can't outrun. What they thought was a personal attack, a private vendetta, was actually a direct challenge to divine order. They didn't just come for you, they came for the purpose you were born to fulfill, and you cannot war against the divine and expect to win. Every betrayal, every lie, every venomous word whispered behind your back rippled far beyond the world they knew. Their actions didn't just hurt you, they disrupted the spiritual balance. What they did in the dark has been brought into the light, and the evidence of their cruelty now stands as testimony against them. They built their own case, piece by piece. Every time they sought to harm you, they thought they were untouchable, too clever for consequences, but all they were doing was tightening the rope around their own necks. What they sowed in secret has now sprouted for all to see. The fruits of their deeds are bitter indeed. The spiritual realm is precise. Not a single word, thought, or action went unnoticed. Every smirk, every trap, every false kindness, all documented by forces greater than either of you. The scales of justice are always moving, and their actions have tipped those scales against them. They thought they could cheat the system, but divine justice doesn't miss a thing. They didn't just attack you, they attacked the divine hand, guiding your steps. Their actions became evidence that sealed their fate. Justice for the chosen isn't always swift, but it's always certain. What they did to you is now their undoing. The secrets they thought would protect them have turned into a spotlight exposing everything. Their cruelty didn't just fail, it backfired. The judgment they thought they could outrun is now catching up to them, and there's no escape from the truth. When you harm the chosen, you write your own judgment in stone. Number 5. They laughed at the light, unaware. It was their shadows it exposed. They mocked your kindness because they mistook it for weakness. They laughed at your peace because it reminded them of their chaos. What they failed to understand is that the very light they tried to dim was exposing their own darkness. They couldn't stand you, not because you did anything wrong, but because you revealed what was wrong in them. Your presence was a mirror they couldn't bear to look into. Every time you showed grace, it reminded them how cruel they were. Every time you stood firm in integrity, it revealed how far they'd fallen. They laughed at you, gossiped, mocked, and tried to turn others against you, thinking your light was naive, harmless, easy to extinguish. But light doesn't fight darkness. It simply reveals it. And that's exactly what you did. You didn't have to retaliate or prove anything. Your consistency did that for you. The truth about people always surfaces when real light shines on them. They wanted to paint you as the problem, but every lie they told only made the truth louder. Every attempt to bury you only made you more visible. Because the more they tried to hide the truth, the brighter your authenticity became. They mocked what they didn't understand. They thought your compassion was foolish, your forgiveness weak, and your silence cowardly. They didn't realize that real strength isn't in reacting, it's in restraining. They were too blind to see that every time you chose peace over revenge, you were building spiritual capital they could never touch. Now, as the tables turn, they're starting to feel the heat of their own mockery. The same laughter they once used to humiliate you now echoes in their minds as a reminder of their arrogance. They laughed at the light. But the light has a long memory. Their shadows are growing longer, their masks are cracking, and their secrets are spilling out. What was hidden is being exposed, and what was mocked is now being magnified. You were never the joke, they were. The difference is that your strength was silent, while their downfall is loud. They can't erase what your presence revealed. You were their test, and they failed it. They underestimated the divine protection surrounding you, mistaking it for vulnerability. Now the same light that protected you is illuminating their true nature for everyone to see. The truth always wins, and you, chosen one, are the living proof of that. Number 6. They thought your silence was surrender, but it was their undoing. Your silence was never surrender. It was strategy. They thought they'd broken you when you went quiet. They took your peace as proof of defeat. But the truth is, silence is the sound of divine planning. They expected chaos. They expected you to react, to lash out, to fight back, to stoop to their level. But you didn't. You chose silence, and that drove them insane. They couldn't understand how someone they tried to crush could remain so calm. What they didn't realize is that silence isn't absence, it's power in disguise. When the chosen fall silent, it isn't because they've lost, it's because they're listening to higher guidance, to divine timing. Your quietness wasn't weakness, it was the pause before justice. Every word you didn't say became a sword they never saw coming. Every moment you stayed still allowed divine forces to move freely on your behalf. They filled the silence with lies. They told their side of the story, twisting facts, trying to turn others against you. They thought controlling the narrative would control the outcome, but truth doesn't need to shout. It reveals itself at the perfect time. While they were busy talking, you were healing. While they were scheming, you were evolving. While they were trying to destroy your reputation, the universe was restoring your strength. And now, they're realizing that your silence was the most dangerous weapon you could have used. You didn't need to fight them, because divine justice doesn't need a defense attorney. They mistook your stillness for defeat, not realizing it was the calm before the storm. They assumed you'd vanished, but in reality, you were regenerating, growing stronger in every area they tried to destroy. Now, your silence speaks louder than their noise. Everything they tried to hide is coming to light, and every lie they spread is circling back to expose them. Your peace is haunting them. Your lack of reaction is the loudest response of all. They thought they ended you when they silenced you, but that quiet was your rebirth. You let them talk themselves into judgment while you stayed still in divine protection. Now the tables have turned, and they're realizing that silence wasn't your surrender. It was the sound of their downfall beginning. Number 7. Mercy knocked, but their pride locked the door. They had a chance to change. They had time to apologize, to own up, to make things right. Mercy came knocking over and over, but their pride slammed the door every time. They saw the signs, they felt the warnings, they knew they'd crossed lines, but arrogance convinced them there'd never be consequences. They laughed at the thought of karma, mocked the idea of accountability, and believed they were untouchable. But mercy is not infinite when it's repeatedly mocked. They had countless chances to stop. Each opportunity to make peace was a divine offering, a final chance to turn around before the fall. But instead, they doubled down, mistaking patience for permission. They thought silence from the divine meant approval, but silence was mercy's final warning. Now, as their world starts to collapse, they remember every ignored sign. Every sleepless night is a replay of the moments they could have done right, but chose ego instead. Pride blinded them so completely that they thought humility was weakness. Mercy doesn't chase forever. When it leaves, it takes peace with it. And that's exactly what they're feeling now, the hollow emptiness of a life without divine favor. They can't understand why everything they touch crumbles. Why the things that once came easily now slip through their hands. It's not bad luck, it's balance. The very grace that once covered them has lifted, and now they're exposed to the full weight of what they've done. They mocked mercy until mercy stopped knocking. What's haunting them now isn't you, it's themselves. The memory of their cruelty, the guilt they tried to bury, the echoes of the chances they wasted. They thought they could outrun justice, but you can't escape something that's written in your own choices. They thought they won. They didn't realize the real test wasn't how much power they could take. It was whether they could handle it with integrity, and they failed. Mercy gave them more chances than they deserved, but pride kept them blind. And now every door they try to open leads to consequences they can't undo. Number 8. They tried to bury you, but you were a storm, waiting to break free. They thought burying you would end you. They thought silence, isolation, and betrayal would keep you down forever. But you weren't a seed meant to rot. You were one meant to rise. They didn't bury you, they planted you. Every lie, every rejection, every backstab, it was soil covering a destiny they couldn't kill. You were being hidden, not buried. Buried things die, hidden things grow. They wanted to erase you, but all they did was create space for your rebirth. While they celebrated your ending, divine forces were rewriting your story underground. You were transforming in silence, building power in the dark. They thought you were finished, but storms don't announce their arrival. They just hit. What they failed to realize is that isolation was your incubation. Every moment they mocked you, you were charging up. Every betrayal was fuel for the hurricane you were becoming. They thought they silenced you, but they were just giving you time to evolve into something unstoppable. Now, as you rise, the ground trembles. The energy they tried to bury is breaking free, and there's no containing it. The same ones who buried you are now hiding from the storm you've become. Your comeback isn't quiet. It's a reckoning. Every ounce of pain they caused has turned into power. Every time they laughed at your downfall, they unknowingly predicted their own. The storm isn't coming. It's here, and it has your name written all over it. You didn't just survive, you transformed. You outgrew the soil that once confined you. The storm they feared is the version of you that no longer needs their approval, their validation, or their mercy. They thought they buried you, but you were never meant to stay underground. You were meant to rise, to roar, to reclaim everything they tried to take. You are the storm they can't escape, and this time the thunder is yours. Number 9. The trap they set became their own undoing. They dug a pit for you, but they forgot one thing. Gravity doesn't play favorites. Every trap they designed for your downfall was actually bait for their own destruction. The moment they started plotting against a chosen one, their fate was sealed. They thought they were clever. They calculated every move, every lie, every manipulation. They believed they could predict your reactions, control your emotions, dictate your outcome, but divine intelligence outsmarts human cunning every time. What they didn't know is that the same trap they built was being recorded in their own destiny. You didn't need to expose them. They exposed themselves. They bragged, they gloated, they enjoyed watching you stumble, never realizing that every cruel act was a brick in the wall that would one day enclose them. The universe is fair like that. It returns what's given, multiplied. The irony is beautiful, really. They thought they were orchestrating your downfall, but all they were doing was accelerating their own. Every move they made against you was a step closer to their collapse. They believed they had control, but in truth, they were puppets of their own arrogance. Now, their world is starting to look a lot like the one they tried to build for you, full of betrayal, loss, and confusion. They're feeling the same energy they once directed your way, but amplified. That's how divine justice works. It doesn't just return, it restores balance. They set traps of deceit and manipulation, forgetting that the chosen walk under divine law. You can't play games with someone whose steps are guided by something higher. Every weapon they formed was turned back before it even left their hand. They're haunted now, not just by what they did, but by the realization that it all backfired. The lies they told are unraveling, the alliances they formed are breaking apart, and the people they used are turning on them. You don't have to lift a finger. The same forces they mocked are dismantling everything they built. The pit they dug has become their prison, and the only way out is through the consequences they created. They set the trap, and then walked straight into it. Number 10. Their fall became the stepping stone to your glory. Their downfall was the beginning of your rise. What they meant for your destruction became the very platform that elevated you. They tried to break you, but all they did was clear the path for your ascension. Their betrayal pushed you toward purpose. Their cruelty taught you strength. Every time they tried to destroy your name, they unknowingly prepared the world to hear it. The same mouths that cursed you will one day be forced to speak your praise. That's the irony of divine balance. It always flips the story. Their fall isn't your revenge. It's proof that justice works quietly, perfectly, and in its own time. You didn't need to retaliate. You just needed to survive. Survival was your greatest act of defiance. Every tear they caused watered the soil for your success. Every door they slammed forced you to build your own. Now look at you, walking through spaces they swore you'd never reach. The same people who whispered about your failure are now watching in disbelief as you rise beyond anything they imagined. And deep down, they know their fall was the cost of your breakthrough. They thought ending you would secure their victory, but all they did was make your comeback legendary. You are walking proof that no setback can stop a chosen one. Your scars are not symbols of defeat. They are medals of endurance. They tried to humiliate you publicly, but your restoration is happening in full view. Every attempt to bury your name has turned into an echo chamber for your greatness. You didn't have to prove anything. Your glow did it for you. They're realizing now that by hurting you, they helped shape your power. You learned patience, wisdom, and discipline, lessons they'll never understand. You learned that peace is louder than revenge, and that strength grows in silence. Their fall wasn't your doing. It was their own karma catching up, their own choices collapsing inward. You were simply the mirror they couldn't face. You didn't climb over them. You rose through grace. And now, as they fall, their collapse serves as your confirmation. You were always destined to rise higher. Number 11. When you challenge the chosen, you awaken the wrath of the Creator. Some battles aren't fought on earth. They're settled in heaven. When they touched you, they triggered something sacred. They didn't just mess with a person. They interfered with divine assignment. Every chosen one walks under protection, stronger than any army. You may have looked vulnerable, but there were forces surrounding you they couldn't see. The moment they set out to destroy you, they declared war on something they couldn't even comprehend. They thought they could get away with it, the lies, the manipulation, the spiritual warfare. But divine law doesn't sleep. Every tear you cried was recorded. Every injustice was noted. They didn't realize that by attacking you, they awakened a wrath that never misses its mark. You are not just a soul wandering this world. You are a representative of something far higher. The Creator doesn't let His chosen be mocked without consequence. When they laughed at your pain, the heavens heard it. When they plotted against your peace, the universe responded. Now they're learning that no amount of power or planning can protect them from what's coming. They mocked your faith, your patience, your resilience, but those were the very qualities keeping you covered. You were the test they failed. They thought divine justice was slow, but it was strategic. Every delay was preparation. Every silence was gathering force. Now, what's been building in the unseen is breaking through, and nothing can stop it. The same Creator they mocked is now rearranging everything around them. Their resources are drying up, their influence fading, their protection gone. They're standing in the open, exposed, facing the consequences of their arrogance. You don't need to celebrate their fall. It's already written. You just need to keep walking. Their punishment isn't your focus. Your purpose is the wrath they awakened isn't yours to carry. It's divine justice, doing what it was always meant to do. They should have left you alone. Number 12. The fire they lit became their furnace. Every flame they aimed at you now circles back to consume them. The energy they sent out returns multiplied, and they can't escape it. The fire they lit in arrogance has become the furnace of their own undoing. They thought they could harm you without consequence. They mocked your pain, underestimated your strength, and assumed they were untouchable. But when you play with divine energy, you don't get to choose how it burns. Now they're trapped in the very chaos they created. The lies they spread are suffocating them. The hate they fueled is devouring their peace. The same intensity they used to destroy you is now destroying them. What they meant for harm has turned into their own trial. They can't stop the chain reaction because it was written the moment they lit the match. The universe doesn't forget. It simply waits for the right moment to balance the scales. You didn't have to lift a finger, you just had to endure. That's the beauty of divine order. It makes your endurance the weapon that wins the war. Now they're learning that you can't play with a chosen one and walk away unscathed. You can't curse what's been blessed. You can't fight what's been protected. The energy they poured into your downfall has become the fire consuming their illusions. They're trapped in their own storm, desperate for the peace they once mocked. Their laughter has turned into sleepless nights. Their arrogance has turned into regret. Their cruelty has turned into their curse. Meanwhile, you stand untouched, refined, elevated, unstoppable. The same fire that could have destroyed you has become your crown. You carry it with power and grace because you survived what they never could. Their furnace is your testimony. Their collapse is your confirmation. You didn't just survive, you transcended. And now the fire burns only to remind them of one eternal truth. You don't play with the chosen and walk away clean.